Are you prioritizing self-care in your daily practice or routine? That's what we're going to talk about today. The time is running faster and faster because, especially in times of artificial intelligence, you are asked to accomplish more in less time. And that is tricky. AI machines already 100 years are working 24/7. And you need 7 to 8 hours sleep. That's the minimum. But you can't go through and work all day long. You have got to eat. And the question is, what are you eating? Do you have to take breaks because your body and your mind will not work 24/7 and will not work for 8 hours straight? So that means you have to make sure you are getting done more in less time, but also at the same time look after yourself. And studies show that depression, mental illnesses during the last 24 years have risen tremendously. And that is something to do with working faster on one hand, and on the other hand, we have to adjust to all the new ways of working. It's called New Work 2.0, I think, at the moment. And that includes all what I'm talking about. Well, 20 years ago, hardly anybody would have worked virtually with other clients. That's absolutely normal, latest since COVID. So things are changing rapidly, and the processes of work are getting faster. So how are you looking after yourself? Because you are an individual which is still working the same way it worked millions of years ago. So how are you able to look after yourself? First of all, you have to say no. You have to say no to looking or checking your AI all the time. And studies show that somebody who's watching a screen for a long time, so to say, will work less hours than we do today, because the concentration to watch what is going on the monitor or on the screen is taking its toll. So what do you have to do afterwards? You have to take a break. And whether you are going to pick up your task again or go home, well, I suppose you and your boss have to find out how much you're capable of. So you see, there are many, so to say, borders that you can't cross. There are restrictions you can't just put aside. So it means saying no, and it means planning. You have to do more planning than you used to, because you have to find ways to optimize the energy you can give. That means you have to stop draining energy. And that means you really have to look through, who are you socializing with? What work are you doing to get energy? And As I mentioned, looking at a screen for a long time is draining energy. You might like the job because it brings a lot of money, but it is draining your energy. So the question is now, where do you get new energy from? So you have to plan. And another thing is, it doesn't mean that having stress is negative, but we have to make sure that when we had a period of stress, we need recovery. And that is what we have to change. So, are you sleeping at least 7 hours a day? Or have a good rest in the afternoon? It might be a power nap. Are you having hobbies that you practice to relax? Any machine will break down whenever it wants. But as a human, you are working even though you're broken down, and then you end up in a burnout, and that's not what you want. Therefore, how can you practice self-care? For example, gardening is a wonderful thing to do to relax. It grounds you. You are working with Mother Earth, and you can smell it, you can feel it, you can feel your muscles, you can feel how you get out of breath perhaps, depending on what you're doing. And you see a result. And results are really important for our well-being. Reading books. In the evenings, instead of scrolling on your phone, you might read a book out of paper. And after 20 minutes, if everything works well, you will get into the flow of reading. You will dive into the story, and everything around you will not notice. And that's what we want. We want this state of flow. Writing journals is a great way to start a day. Sit down and write a diary. And write what you feel, how you woke up, what energy you want to have today, what is giving you energy, what are you planning, who are you going to meet to gain energy. You could also do mindfulness. Writing a journal is mindful because you dive into writing a journal. Do it by hand. Mechanically, it is the best way to do it. Being mindful, I talked about it as well when I was talking about gardening. Feeling the earth, perhaps feeling the sun shine on you, or even raindrops. Perhaps you can see a rainbow and enjoy the colours. This is all mindfulness. Let it take it in. Enjoy it. Drawing mandalas is flowers which are drawn on paper and you colour them. And colouring them is a repetitive task. So it means you are not thinking, you are not worrying, because you are watching and looking at what you're drawing. And it's, so to say, a very simple task, which is done mechanically. And that's what we want. We want tasks that we're trained in that don't cost us a lot of energy. You know what you could do as well? Cruise with your car and enjoy the process of driving. There are studies that really say that driving a car when you're experienced is relaxing. Children start to sleep when they are put into a car, even though they have been crying and screaming before. It is the sound of the engine, I suppose, the vibrations of the car when it drives over the roads, etc., that make these babies sleep. So breathing exercises, cooking fresh ingredients is great to relax. Cutting the vegetables, the meat, and seeing it cook to finish, to see the colours, green, grey, red, I don't know what you put into your meals, but all these colours and the 10 different density of the food when you eat it mindful, and you will enjoy and relax again and take care of yourself. It's always about getting into the moment, not worrying about the future, not thinking of the past. Going for a walk is another great way to relax. You will get into the moment the longer you walk. I have been an ultra marathon runner and I know what I'm talking about. First of all the worries are coming up. Then all of a sudden you get creative. And after that stage, you're just in nature, in the park, wherever you are. You enjoy the deer, you enjoy the weeds, you enjoy the grass, you enjoy the birds. Everything that is around you, but you don't think of what is going to worry you again later on perhaps. So what are the benefits? The benefits are reduced stress, improved focus. What I mentioned when I talked about reading the book, you get into the flow, you're focused and you don't realise what's going on around you. And the same is with gardening. You just dig in the earth, you plant flowers, and what is going on around you doesn't bother you. And it enhances, of course, your well-being. So, as I mentioned, self-care is really important, even though stress is healthy. Now, I have just worked with a client. She has a lot of stress right now, and we worked in 2 sessions in 1.5 weeks. And when she came to the second session, she mentioned she started to practice some tips I gave her, and she realised she is already more relaxed. Of course, this whole thing is a journey, but my question to you is, what are you going to try next week? Try something and tell us in the comments what you've tried. I'm really looking forward to your comments. Please subscribe if this has helped you to change your stress level.